welcome to Edinburgh Airport here in a very chilly Scotland. Today, unfortunately, I won't be flying with United. Instead, I will be flying with Aer Lingus on an ATR 72 bound for the North Irish city of Belfast. Having arrived earlier that morning from London, I was vastly unprepared for the weather in Glasgow that day, being a bone-chilling 4 degrees centigrade or 39 degrees Fahrenheit, and not to mention the wind chill of -1. In saying this, I didn't end up spending a lot of time on the car park as I initially planned, as my intention was to view all the interesting aircraft and airlines that would be arriving and departing that morning. Instead, I retreated to the terminal as quickly as possible to warm myself with a cup of hot coffee and some shortbread biscuits, which turns out is a traditional Scottish biscuit, not English, like I originally thought. The Scottish city Edinburgh is well known for its extensive history dating back thousands of years. Specifically, this part is known for its whisky, architecture, and World Heritage UNESCO sites, such as old and new towns. Home to just over 500,000 people, this city is also home to one of the two major airports serving Scotland, the other being Glasgow, roughly 65 kilometres to the west. I chose Edinburgh Airport as I had already booked to fly out of Glasgow later on in the trip. And as stated in my introduction, today I will be flying with Aer Lingus on an ATR 72 bound for the North Irish city of Belfast. Check-in for Aer Lingus can be easily found on entry, being a few steps away from the Delta entrance of the terminal. As I did not have any bags with me, it was not necessary to join the bag drop line, as I could have easily gotten my boarding pass on my phone. However, I opted for a good quality boarding pass, and I'm happy to report that Aer Lingus does provide these. Once the check-in formalities had been completed, I was advised to make my way up the stairs to security, which also extremely conveniently were directly behind the check-in area, directly besides the terminal entrance. Just prior to the security area is a small shopping area with a few gift shops with knickknacks. Unlike in New Zealand and Australian airports, a boarding pass is required to pass through the security checkpoint. However, this is something unique to New Zealand and Australia, and it's a common occurrence around the world. I found security to be fairly typical, taking roughly 5 minutes. I have found that UK airports are not as strict when it comes to bag searches, however, this could be subject to change. Once I had cleared security, and after a firm warning about filming in the security area, I proceeded to the departure lounge. As is typical for international airports, post-security is the usual duty-free shopping area. If you have seen any of my previous international flights, you'll know that I am not a big fan of being forced into the duty-free area, instead preferring to have the option to bypass it. Unfortunately, Edinburgh Airport does not offer a bypass option. Not really an issue honestly, but more of an inconvenience. Edinburgh Airport is very deceptive in that the outside looks rather small, but the moment you step inside, you'll quickly realise how big this airport actually is, with over 30 different stores available. These include bars, cafes, restaurants, retail outlets and more. Instead, I opted to head to the gate in preparation for the arrival of today's aircraft, which for today would be departing from Gate 19 on the east side of the airfield. Not long after I had arrived, so did that of today's aircraft, which, pulling on stand, was an ATR 72-600, registered as Golf Charlie Mike Juliet Juliet. Construction of this airframe was completed in May of 2016, and she first flew for Transnusa Air based in Indonesia until 2022, when she was moved to Emerald Airlines UK, to where she has been ever since, making this aircraft 9 years old. Boarding commenced on time from Gate 19 and was in no particular order. Before I board, let's quickly talk about this airfield. Originally an RAF World War I military base, namely Turnhouse Aerodrome, this airfield used to house 603 Squadron, a quartet of different biplanes, such as the Hawker Hind light bomber. Nowadays, the airport is host to 37 different airlines, flying to over 150 destinations in the United Kingdom and the rest of the world. Aer Lingus Regional's ATR 72s all have the exact same configuration, that being the standard ATR 72 layout, with 72 economy class seats in a 2-2 configuration. This morning I shall be seated in 2 Foxtrot. The seat has 30 inches or 76 centimeters of pitch and 18 inches or 46 centimeters of width. There is a standard tray table that folds down and extends towards you. In the seat pocket you'll find a safety card, buy on board menu and air sickness bag. Above are individual reading lights, air vents and a flight attendant call button. Soon we commenced our pushback from gate 19, 5 minutes behind our scheduled departure time.
The emergency exits are 2 at the front of the cabin at row 1, 1 on the left and 1 on the right, and 2 at the rear of the cabin, 1 on the left which you boarded through and 1 on the right.
We taxied to runway 06 via Golf 1, Lima, Alpha and Bravo 1. Now please enjoy this unedited takeoff. After takeoff, we made a fairly standard traffic pattern over the North Sea, setting up a southwesterly course for Belfast. Flight time today is 45 minutes, covering a distance of 185 miles or 298 kilometers, cruising at 14,000 feet. During our large traffic pattern and gentle climb up to cruise, both sides of the aircraft were able to very clearly see the city of Edinburgh and many key sightseeing points of the city. There are way too many to mention, and none more worthy than any other, so I'll just say that you could see basically everything. Aer Lingus has a buy on board menu in every seatback pocket, featuring a fairly decent selection of drinks, alcohol and light bites. Unfortunately, no proper meals are available to be purchased, but then again, that would have been unnecessary due to the length of this flight and onboard kitchen facilities. I did not purchase anything today, as on regional flights such as this one, I feel the short flight doesn't need food. However, if I were to compare this to say Qantas Link or Rex, these airlines would come out on top, as on all of those flights, less than 30 minutes, a light snack and a drink is always provided. Flying over the United Kingdom gives passengers the opportunity to view a huge selection of different cities, as they are basically everywhere. In today's case, I was able to view Scotland's second largest city, Glasgow, as well as Prestwick Airport. Unfortunately, after passing Prestwick, the weather picked up and my view outside was replaced by a thin layer of cloud. There is only one bathroom on board, being located at the rear. Inside is everything you would typically expect for this aircraft type, including hand soap, but not a baby changing station. Soon we commenced our descent into Belfast. As the aircraft slowly fell back to Earth over the Irish Sea, the only thing on my mind was surprisingly not the aircraft or Belfast, but rather the lock to the right of the aircraft. In addition to being a mad av geek, I am also fascinated by ocean liners, specifically the Cunard-built Lusitania class and the White Star Line-built Olympic class, which were built around and sailed in these very waters. I am of course referring to history's three most famous ships, the RMS Olympic, HMHS Britannic, and the world's most famous ship, the RMS Titanic. The sole purpose of my visit to Belfast today was to visit the Titanic Museum and to see exactly where the grand ship was built. It was also to have bragging rights over one of my dear friends back in Australia, but the museum came first. Now please enjoy this unedited landing.
Welcome to George Best Belfast City Airport, where the time is 1:45. For your safety, please do remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the captain has switched off the seatbelt sign.
After landing, we taxied back to the terminal via runway 22, Alpha 1 and Alpha. We pulled into stand 2, 6 minutes behind our scheduled arrival time. Stepping off the aircraft and thanking the lovely crew for the flight, my attention turned away from Aer Lingus and towards the museum ahead of me. So, I just flew with Aer Lingus Regional on an ATR 72. What are my thoughts? Well, as always, let's start from the beginning. The check-in experience was very simple and easy at Edinburgh. Within 20 seconds of stepping up to the counter, I was walking away with a boarding pass in hand. Even those with checked-in luggage ahead of me were completed in less than 1 or 2 minutes. Security at Edinburgh was strict but fair. I was told to stop filming, and I was also pulled aside before leaving the checkpoint. After informing the officers and providing evidence that I was not filming, I was warned that in the future some other officers wouldn't be as kind. On board, the seat was exactly what I was expecting for this aircraft, comfy but a bit narrow. I find it a bit strange that Aer Lingus does not provide complimentary drinks and food on board, as most regional airlines that I am used to back home do provide these services. And finally, I paid £67 or 139 Australian dollars for this one-way flight, which I think isn't too bad of a price, but considering I did not get any food, I think it's a little bit more on the pricey side. So, would I recommend this product? Considering the length of the flight, yeah, I would. It was quick, cheap and easy. the best situation you could ask for. I'm very much looking forward to flying with Aer Lingus again, hopefully one day in the future. We'll see how I go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment and subscribe, and make sure you check out the other videos if you'd like to see more. And I have said this before, but I now have a Discord server. Feel free to join, the link can be found at the top of the description. And as always, feel free to press the notification button too, as it will let you know when I upload again, which happens every Friday at 8 PM Sydney time. And I hope to see you all again in the next one. See you later!